Good afternoon, everyone. Chelsea Clark coming from L&W Insurance and bringing you another Ask an Agent session. We figured it was a good time as, the spring air is starting to come about and everybody's starting to think about getting out and about. One of the first things that start happening, especially in Delaware, is we start heading south toward the beaches. And a lot of people want to purchase places down at the beach. And million-dollar homes don't always fit for everybody, but condos are reasonable and seem like something that everybody could do. The concept of having a little bit of space in the beach sounds heavenly. Understanding condo insurance sometimes is a little bit closer to hell. Luckily for us and for you, we write quite a bit of condo insurance. And it's good because condo insurance is confusing sometimes because you have a lot of moving parts. So luckily, I've wrangled Erik Kaufmann, who is a vice president here at the agency and also sells commercial insurance, and he writes a lot of condo insurance. So he's going to help talk about those scary condos and how we can understand it from an insurance perspective. And just to let you know, I have a new toy, and I'm going to try and play with it. So if it gets a little shaky, that's what's happening. It's operator error on a new fangled gadget. But here is Erik, and see? There it is. Erik! Hi.
Hello.
So what I wanted to just kind of chat about is the condos. Let me get it. Oh, here we go. Okay. So what I wanted to ask about the condos was, and this is something that you all will understand, but Erik's going to give us a quick explanation of what makes condos so confusing and why oftentimes it takes two separate policies to insure a condo correctly.
So, good afternoon, everybody. As Chelsea mentioned, my name is Erik Kaufmann. I'm an agent and vice president here at L&W Insurance, and I do write a lot of condo associations. One of the biggest things that makes condo associations, a little unique is that each separate association is going to be a little bit different, really depending on how the governing docs are written for that specific association. So, communication is very important. I'm coming at it from kind of the master policy perspective, but we do actually write a lot of individual unit owner policies in personal lines, and it's very important that the master policy agent and the individual unit owner policy agent communicate together to review that specific association's governing documents to see where the responsibility lies, because that's probably the most important thing with regards to insuring condominiums is who's responsible for insuring what. So that's what makes it unique. Each individual association is going to be different, and it's very important to the unit owner to understand what their responsibility is to insure, and that's really going to be given to them in the governing documents. So, but regardless, no matter what association you live in, the two policies you want are obviously the master policy side for the association, and then the individual unit owner is going to want an HO6 policy. So that's one thing that each one will have in common.
Yeah, so essentially what you have is you have the kind of associations who have the whole structure that they have to take care of, but as a unit owner, when you're going in and just purchasing a condo, you have to insure essentially your box of air. And it requires that outside shell, which is the associations, which is completely separate and commercial, versus the personal policies, which is your little box. So it can be confusing. And then trying to, as Erik said, figure out what the condo association is responsible for versus what you are responsible for can be where it starts to get hairy. And that's why it makes sense to have agents like Erik and personal lines carriers to all agents to be able to work together and kind of sift through that. So a lot of terms that we often hear are things like, as a unit owner, you need to know what your condo association is insuring. And they'll say things like all in or walls out. So what exactly should a unit owner be expected to insure when they're purchasing a new unit?
Very great question. So again, that will go back to the governing docs to see how they're written, and a lot of times under the what you'll find is the insurance section is usually in the Code of Regulations, and it will put the burden of the insurance on the association, and it will reference things as drywall out or drywall in or studs out, things like that. But essentially, you want to make sure that you're reading the governing docs and that you're talking to the master policy agent to ensure exactly what you need to ensure inside that, like you said, that box of air. And I will say there's not a perfect science, but on the policies, on the master policies that do provide coverage for original specs or as originally built, those kind of terminology. If you're not the first owner purchasing the unit, obviously you don't know what was originally built or originally installed. So my advice is to always err on the side of being conservative. Coverage A, which is building coverage on an individual unit owner's policy, is not very expensive. So even if you don't know if improvements or betterments have been made to the unit, my advice is to always purchase a decent amount of coverage A. $50,000 as a baseline is usually what I recommend, and every personal lines agent has their own kind of formula. But hopefully that helps answer the question.
And so how about for liability insurance? We all have liability insurance on our homeowners policies, but what do you do for condo? Who's responsible for that?
That's another great question. So as you mentioned, the box of air. So from a liability perspective, the HO6 policy will provide you with personal liability for any third-party bodily injury or property damage that happens inside your box of air, and then the association's policy will provide liability protection pretty much outside your walls for common areas and amenities and things like that. But your personal liability does go beyond just your box of air, so it's very important to know that or to carry an HO6 policy, so it does provide personal liability to you. Whether extending from your homeowners if it's your secondary, or if it is your primary home, you definitely want an HO6 with personal liability. The other thing to keep in mind is, what if my unit causes damage to somebody else? And again, that's where it gets a little tricky, and that's where the policies all come and play together. So if it's one of those things where the unit owner's negligence caused property damage to common elements or to another unit owner's elements, there could be some liability put on that unit owner to, one, at least be responsible for the master policy deductible, which can be in upwards of $5,000-$10,000 sometimes, or two, if they did damage the unit below them, that unit owner's personal property. There could be some sort of subrogation from that unit owner's carrier to come back against them. So it gets a little tricky, but that's why you have liability insurance.
And that is why, yes, that is why you have liability insurance. That is also why you have agents that know what in the world they're talking about when it comes to condo insurance, because it can get very intertwined and very convoluted if you don't have somebody who understands how to peel apart the policies and know what the condo association is responsible for, what you are responsible for, what happens when you have people above you, below you, to the side of you, and how you're supposed to make all of that work cohesively. So condos can be scary, but the good thing is we understand them, we work with them often, and we can help answer any of these questions for you, whether it's on a commercial side or whether it's on a personal side. So don't let them be that scary. Just go enjoy the sea breeze and leave the rest of that to us, because we can help you navigate through that. So I think that's all.
Great.
And I'm almost getting the hang of my newfangled thing, right? So thank you, Erik, for taking time out and doing this with us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.